Welcome to the Direct Funding Financial Reporting System. This video will cover the process to complete the required reports for Individualized Funding Direct Funding Standard Agreements. These reports must be completed every month and submitted to CLBC. Make sure you keep any financial records that you have for your contract separate from your personal financial records and have them all together in one place to make reporting easier. Financial records that you will need to complete these reports could include invoices, receipts, pay stubs, and bank statements. Any money received from CLBC must be accounted for, and all expenses will need to be broken down into categories on the reporting form. To prepare for completing the online financial report, you will need to have your agreement number and Paris ID, which can be found on the front page of your CLBC contract. You will also need any invoices and receipts and your bank statement for the reporting period. The website to complete the report can be found at https://if.communitylivingbc.ca. To complete the online report for individualized funding, you will need to have a desktop or laptop device with connection to the internet and one of the following browsers: Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Safari, or Microsoft Edge. You cannot use a mobile device or tablet as they are not supported. The online reporting form is designed to be user-friendly. There is also a yellow help button available to you on each page should you need assistance. On the first page, you will enter your agreement number, your Paris ID, and the last name of the person completing the report, which is typically the agent. You will notice once everything on the page has been completed, the button to move forward at the bottom will highlight and become clickable. If you have missed anything, the system will give you an error message telling you what you are missing, or if you have entered the incorrect agreement number or Paris ID, an error message will appear. Once you have completed this page with all the correct information, press the Next Step button to proceed to page 2. On this page, you will be entering the reporting details of your submission. For this tutorial, I will use simple numbers to demonstrate how to use the form. I will use the month of July as the reporting period. The reporting period is the start and end date of your bank statement. Generally, it is the first and last day of the calendar month. After your first report, the reporting period start date will be automatically populated on this form when you log in, with the end date of your previous report plus 1 day. For example, if this report ends on July 31st, your next report will automatically start on August 1st. To select the date, click onto the date box to display the calendar, and you can use the arrows to navigate between the months, or you can choose the month for which you are reporting by clicking on the month, in this example, July 2019, to select the month within the calendar year for which you are reporting on. Select July 1st, 2019 for the start date box and July 31st, 2019 for the end date box. Next, you will enter your bank balances. It is easiest to pull up your bank statement through online banking, as you can then control the dates of the transactions you need to find. If you get paper statements, request from your bank that they start on the first of the month and end on the last day of the month to make reporting easier. Enter the opening balance. In this example, it is the July 1st, 2019 balance of your bank statement. The opening balance is the amount of money in your account as of the first of the month prior to any transactions occurring. If you have a transaction that occurs on the first of the month, such as bank fees, ensure you get the balance of the account prior to that first transaction. After your first report, your opening balance should always match your previous report's closing balance. Enter the closing balance. This is the July 31st, 2019 balance in your bank statement. The closing balance date will be the last day of the month for which the report is being filed. The closing balance amount will be the total amount of money in the account after the final transaction occurs within the month. The final category to complete on this page, Bank Statement Details, is where you will list all of the transactions that occurred within the account during the month of the report. You will need to go through your bank statement, starting with the first transaction that occurred within the month for which the report is being filed. First, select or enter the date of the transaction. You will notice when you click on the date box, it brings up the month for which you are reporting. For each bank transaction, you will have to choose the transaction type, either deposit for anything going into your account or expense for anything coming out of the account. If the transaction was a deposit, you will have to choose a type of deposit from the drop-down menu. Under Amount, you will enter the amount the transaction was for. If the transaction was an expense, you do not need to choose a deposit type as you will be elaborating on this on the next page. You can use the Add More button to add a new detail line and use the red X button next to Amount to remove the line. Once you have completed an entry for each transaction that occurred within the month, you will notice at the bottom of the screen there is a total deposits, total expenses, and a calculated closing balance. If the calculated closing balance here matches the closing balance under bank balances, this box will turn green, which means you are ready to move to the next page. If it is yellow, you will need to go back through your bank balances and transactions to ensure that you have entered all of your numbers correctly. Click the Next Step button once you have reviewed the details and the calculated closing balance is green. On this page, you will elaborate on all of the expense transactions you entered on the previous page. You will notice that the form has already broken down each of the transactions for you to show the date it occurred and the amount it was for. You will then need to choose an expense type from the drop-down menu depending upon what the payment was for. If all of the payment was to one source, you will put the entire amount in this box. In some instances, you will have multiple types of expenses for one transaction, such as when you have a combined payment of outreach support and community-based services. Make sure you break out each of these expenses separately by clicking the Add More button to add a new detail line. If your detail total here matches the amount of the payment, you will not have an Add More button. This only appears when the amounts do not match. If you need to remove a line, use the red X button next to the Amount box. If you have other expenses not listed in the drop-down, select Other under either Individual Supports or Administrative. You will then need to enter a description of what the payment was for. If this box is gray, you do not need to put any information in. If it is white, you can add your description, but keep in mind it only allows a limited number of characters, so it must be relatively short. You will then repeat this process for each of your subsequent transactions. Once you have completed all of them, click the Next Step button. On this page, you can review the information you are submitting and then click to acknowledge you have read the information and agree that it is complete and correct at the box at the bottom. If at any time you need to change or review any information you have entered on the previous pages, you can click onto any of the numbers in the green bubbles at the top of the page to take you to that page. Information that you have entered will be retained on each page. When you're ready, press the Submit button. A pop-up box will be shown to confirm you are ready to submit. If you want to make changes, you can click the Cancel button and it will return you to the review page for you to make changes. Once you press Confirm, you will have submitted the report and you cannot modify the report. Click on the Print button to print or save a copy of your report submission and keep it with your financial records. You will not have the ability to print the report once you have navigated away from this page. If you need to submit a new report, press the New Report button and it will take you to page 1. Page 1 will retain the information that you entered previously. If after submitting you realize you've made a mistake, you can submit a new report with the same dates to replace the old one. If you need any further assistance or have any other questions about this report, there is help available. You can contact Fellow Canada and one of their facilitators will be able to assist you, or you can contact your CLBC analyst. You can also refer to the Managing the Money Direct Funding Standard Guide, which is located at www.communitylivingbc.ca/IF under the Learn More About Individualized Funding section.